Okay, everybody, welcome to Slightly Under Asking. I'm Kelly here with Caitlin, and we have our guest today, Brock MacKenzie with Silverleaf Realty. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on, ladies.
Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Oh, well, I'm excited. I don't know where this is going to go, but...
You never
just got yourself into some shit.
But no, I obviously love talking, and so hopefully we'll have fun, and I can provide some answers for you ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have Brock here because he is in the uber luxury market here in North Scottsdale, Arizona. And we thought it'd just kind of be a unique perspective because for the most part, a lot of us never interact in that circle, one, or we only see it on Netflix, right? And yeah.
True.
So with that being said,
We're going to get the inside scoop.
yeah, we're going to get the real scoop from Brock to see what it actually is like to operate in that market space, how someone might break into that market space if they wanted to, if they really wanted to niche down, and just kind of what the day-to-day is like, how it differs from, maybe the, average market that most of us are operating in, and just learn a little bit more about Brock, and, just kind of see where it goes from there. So
Yeah.
without further ado.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So,
Thanks, Brock.
yeah.
Well, I'm excited to be here, and
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
firing squad ready for me.
Go. Yes.
Well, I would love to know how you got started in real estate and if it was always luxury or if it was some other, market segment and then it changed.
Well, I'll give you just a quick background. So in my former life, I was a professional golfer. So I've always been around kind of private country clubs, grew up with that. And then when I was professional, I was an ambassador at the Silverleaf Club in Scottsdale, which I have now transitioned into being the membership director and also being at Silverleaf Realty. How that happened is D&B developed all of DC Ranch in Silverleaf. One of my best friends, his family bought the club about 7 or 8 years ago.
Oh, damn.
I hung up my golf clubs. We had a discussion where they want this culture at Silverleaf. They knew have been an ambassador there. Obviously, been in the golf industry. My sister played on the LPGA for 9 years. Works for NBC Sports and Golf Channel. So,
cool.
they wanted somebody to kind of help bring in the right people
Speak the language.
with the vision and culture that they saw. They also were planning on buying part of Silverleaf Realty. So they wanted me to kind of get started as the membership director and then eventually get my license, join Silverleaf Realty, and just be kind of, I guess, eyes and ears for people coming through the gates, which I started as membership director a month prior to COVID. And so I didn't know if I was ever going to sell a membership. And then there was a slight delay, and then it was a blur for 3 years where I was doing 8 tours a day, 10 new members, so it seemed like a week. When I first started, I think we had 80 people on the resignation list. We now have 60 people on the list to get in.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just got my first natural resignation, I believe, this week in the last 10 months. So,
Because usually the memberships transfer with the property, right?
well, it varies.
Yeah.
That varies. A lot of clubs, it's actually attached to the individual. And at
Okay.
Silverleaf, we can get into this, but in Silverleaf, let's just say we have about 900 lots, 850 homes. Those memberships are attached to the person. Now, the person, whenever they sell a property, can choose to resign their membership to the buyer. But most often what happens in Silverleaf is we have people that live in a home for 3 years, they move up in Upper Canyon for 3 years, they move back down, and then, they usually, in 20 years, they've lived in 5 different homes, and then eventually they're like, okay, I'm ready to resign it with the sale of this home. Desert Highlands, for example, all of those properties and lots have golf memberships. So you buy a property, you're in as a member. The golf industry boomed during COVID, so a lot of these North Scottsdale golf communities, really the only way to get direct access to a golf membership is to buy a property where the seller is willing to resign their membership to the buyer.
What's a golf membership cost these days?
At Silverleaf, we're listed at $500,000.
Annually.
That's the membership deposit.
Okay.
At Silverleaf, that is 50% refundable whenever they do resign.
Okay.
And then our monthly dues are $3,000 a month.
Okay.
So we're on the high end. I believe a lot of the other clubs are kind of around 200,000. But it's expensive.
Yeah.
And there are waits at basically every single club in North Scottsdale.
Yeah. Well,
So-
Silverleaf is like the upper echelon of all the golf
Yeah.
clubs.
Would that be the most expensive in
So
Scottsdale? or
Scottsdale National is probably the most expensive. I'm not sure what their going rate is. I'm pretty sure they're more than we are. And they're super exclusive. I think they have maybe 150 members. Obviously, Bob Parsons, he's PXG Golf, has done an amazing job in the golf industry, and that's he invested a ton of money up there and has created an amazing property up there. You have Estancia, Mirabelle, Desert Mountain, which is a totally different animal, where they have 7 golf courses, I think 3,000 homes.
Yeah. That's pretty wild up there.
But
Yeah.
North Scottsdale, golf, and at the end of the day, I don't think we're going to see many more golf courses in Arizona due to the water rights and things. So that, it's the basic kind of economic scarcity, right?
Yeah.
And Arizona, we can talk about it. I'm very bullish on Arizona based on what's going on in California, Florida, home insurance. I think Arizona is trending in the right direction, has been for a while.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Arizona as more of a primary residence than just a snowbird type property, where if there is a dip in the economy, I don't see you're going to see the sell-off the way it happened, during the mortgage crisis.
Yeah.
So I'm very kind of bullish, and I still am signing people up, even though I'm telling them realistically it could be 8 years.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I've got a really nice group of members that are younger, that have kids, and they're like, Brock, I'm not going to. I don't need to start playing golf right away. I just want the social aspect and all the different kind of amenities that Silverleaf and the community kind of provides.
I saw you at a Third Eye Blind concert
Yes.
at Silverleaf, which I was very jealous of.
Yes.
So clearly Silverleaf, is having some pretty dope,
Who knows what's going on?
pretty dope experiences.
We do, and it stems from our owner. Our owner's awesome. He's 42 years old, loves to have a good time. We had TI at our men's invitational. We had Third Eye Blind at our other men's invitational. We just had Eve 6 and Lit, who were kind of my high school bands that I absolutely loved.
Yeah.
We've had Nelly, we've had Ludacris, we've had Flo Rida, we've had Eric Church.
Say no more. I can make it to
Kelly's
the next
in.
one.
Kelly's
I'm
in.
going to come with my Band-Aid.
Yeah,
My Nelly
exactly.
Band-Aid.
So, text me, because some of those are for members only. Some of those we are allowed to bring guests. So, shoot me a text.
Anything 90s, just know I'm there.
We had Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray, and he did a bunch of covers, and he was actually awesome.
fun.
Was he?
Yeah, he was awesome.
That's sick.
So it's a very fun. That's a very fun part of my job.
Yeah.
Because we have such a long wait. A lot of my job is membership integration.
Yeah.
Playing golf once or twice a month in the men's days, helping, talk with our events person on what band should we bring. And, I started a member mixer series. So that all kind of plays into the integration of the membership and why hopefully people want to join Silverleaf.
You pretty much sounds like every man's dream job that you have.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
It's not lost on me what an awesome position I have.
Yeah.
Role at the club. I enjoy going to the club. I enjoy my membership. And then I also get to sell amazing properties in the community. Obviously that's kind of where my niche is in the DC Ranch area. That's where I feel like I probably provide the most value.
Yeah.
Just because I know everyone, I know every lot, I know every home.
Yeah.
A lot of that is, I think, as a real estate agent is, why should somebody choose you over somebody else other than it's a relative or whatever? Well, you need to provide value to that person. You need to be educated on what you're doing. You need to be able to get the most, money for that property and position them where they are. These are all type A successful people that in the luxury market that usually you deal with. Obviously there there aren't some, but for the most part, these are very successful people that have either run businesses or worked at a very high level.
Yeah.
And so they expect the same from me and what I do. So.
Well, I have to. So for background, I met Brock because I was showing one of his listings in Silverleaf.
Which you did not buy. You did not bring the buyer.
No, they are.
Can I
they
say
are
that?
4 years out.
Don't edit that out.
They are 4 years out. So actually, I mean, when I kind of learned about, so I met him. We were chatting in the kitchen. I liked you instantly.
Oh, well, thank you. Same.
Just so you know.
Same.
And there's, as we know, a lot of very punchable faces in this industry. And
I agree.
Yeah.
I think relationships with other agents are almost more important than actually your relationships with your clients.
Yes.
Because that's how, when it gets down to that final line, or if somebody's going to offer, I want to work with somebody I like.
Well, and at no point did I feel, because my clients actually reached out to Brock directly because he is the golf director,
Correct.
because they wanted a membership there. And at literally no point did I feel like you were like encroaching or doing anything where I would feel, kind of, boxed out. It was full transparency. So I really appreciated that about you. And that was like a year ago, probably.
Yeah, it was.
So,
it was.
But to that, I think one that speaks to your level of professionalism, but also, I could see kind of how your business, like your director of being golf membership director, could kind of, obviously is your lead magnet essentially, and how you get quite a bit of business. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm totally off base.
Yeah, so I would actually tend to disagree.
Really? Okay.
I would, and I say that just because I really give about 1 tour a month.
Oh, okay.
And now that it's slowed down, now that we have a wait list, and prior to the wait list, I wasn't a real estate agent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so where I think, most of my stuff is referral based.
Okay.
What it truly, I would say 90% of my clients are, I brought in members, and they're like, we just bought a house with Kelly.
Yeah.
We love how you took care of us. I've got 2 best friends from Omaha that are looking for homes 5 to 10 million. Would you like to help them out?
Yeah.
Yes, I would love to. And that, I mean, there's nothing better than getting referrals from people that you've taken care of and they like how you treat them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I handhold people through setting up usernames, logins, how to call the spa, like all of that, right? And I enjoy doing that. And I never look at it as ulterior motives. I do like assisting people. That's part of my main job. What it's come into is one of my biggest buyers. They're like, Brock, I saw, you helped us as the membership director. I think you do some real estate. We have warped floors. Do you have a couple good wood, flooring people? So within a couple minutes, I sent them 2 of my builders, 2 of my floor people, and they're like, well, this is great. We're going to fix the floors. We're also looking for, a $15 million home. Would you like showing us around? I'd love to. So it's like
amazing.
When you're with that, that network of people, it's amazing if you're just be, empathetic, be kind, and it's amazing. Hopefully people see that and want to be around you. At the end of the day, I've had clients that have looked for homes for, years. I've had people that I've written offers for on the first home we see. You really have to spend time with your agent. Yeah. So you better like them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I look at it. I mean, I feel like there's, you need to have a good accountant. You need to have a good lawyer. You need to have a good, at a certain time in life, you need to have these people that you can lean on, that you trust. And that's our job. And so there's a lot of people that drop the ball on that. So I try and be very aware of, if I was in their shoes, how would I want to be treated? I have 2 cell phones. I basically go to bed at 10 p.m. every night, and I'm on the phone from the minute I wake up to basically I go to bed, whether it's members, whether it's clients, whether it's whatever, trying to figure out problem solving or setting up the week, you name it. So, and that's important to me. I probably need to unplug more.
Each their own. To each
Yeah,
their
I
own.
know.
Yeah.
I know, and it's hard. I mean,
Yeah.
all right, so this is a good segue, I feel like. Obviously you are working in a very, very different, with a different clientele, different they're in a totally different tax bracket than everyone. So are the expectations of you different? Are they harder to work with? Easier to work with in some ways?
So I think, I think in some ways it's possibly more difficult just because maybe the expectation is higher because these are all very successful people and they've always been successful and they expect me to be successful for them. On the flip side, we talked a little bit before we came on, on a $20 million home, if somebody's asking for a $10,000 or $15,000 credit, usually you're not even worried about that happening.
Yeah.
And in a lot of scenarios, I'll be like, listen, if this is a deal breaker, take it off my compensation. Whereas on a lower priced home, that's a bigger percentage, and that if people are getting loans, there's just a lot of other variables. At the end of the day, I would like to say that, and hopefully my clients aren't listening, I would hope to say my clients are it's probably easier in a different way
Yeah.
to be in luxury.
Yeah. They're not primary. Are they usually primary home?
They're usually their third or fourth home.
Yeah.
Now, it's kind of what we discussed. I really believe Arizona is becoming
Yeah.
more of a primary. A third of my members are from Chicago. They would all say they're Chicagoans. They're Arizonans because they're in Chicago about 3 or 4 months,
Yeah.
and they're Arizona 8 months.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways, there's another aspect of this. I could do 10 deals a year, or one a month or whatever, and make a very, very nice living. I don't have to go do a volume.
Yeah.
My volume is more the sales volume and not a quantity.
Yeah. Less
so
units, more volume.
And then it's easier to give that attention to each client and have that, exceed that expectation for them. Because
Yeah.
you do have the time and you're not juggling 10 clients at the same time blowing you up.
Well, right. And I mean, I do have quite a few listings right now. The market's been kind of interesting. I mean, I have some divorced couples right now, which they're oftentimes like, we need to get this sold. I also have people like, Brock, let's test the market, and maybe that one buyer will buy my house for, $1 million more than it probably is worth. And that's fine too. At the end of the day, a lot of these clients are members that turn into friends that I golf with, I have relationships with, and that actually makes it more special for me. It's not just a stranger that, once I sell their house, I don't see them.
Yeah. It's a warm
I see them
handoff.
at the club.
Yeah.
I ask them, is the pool guy I recommended doing okay? If he's not, then I call him and I'd be like, come on,
Yeah.
I've got a vacant property I'm trying to sell right now where I basically have my landscaper come over and I'm paying him to take care of it.
Yeah.
And like, they live in PV, and they have this other home and they're like, just get it off the market for us, sell it for us. So I bring in my own cleaner and bring in my own landscaper. Because I'm in luxury, I'm fortunate enough that I can afford to do those little things to try and get the home sold.
Yeah.
And it's not a burden on them. And I'm like, I give them feedback on showings, but they don't have to worry about that stuff. They trust me enough. I mean, these people are giving me access to some of the most expensive assets in the country. And so I don't take that, lightly.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they oftentimes make quicker decisions than the normal consumer just because the money isn't as much of a hurdle for many of them?
So I think it was last year or maybe 2 years ago. I did 80 million, and 79 million of those deals were cash. So I don't have to deal with banks.
Yep.
I don't have to deal with LSUs as much. Now, knock on wood, that could change. But that there's also, that helps expedite a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't tell you how much easier it is to not, I mean, and I've got plenty of bankers and mortgage people and stuff, but it is just so much easier. It's easier for me to negotiate deals. It's less people in the mix.
They can close quicker.
Yep.
Can close quicker once that due diligence period's over. If they want to get in and the people are willing to move out, we can get that done. So, I mean, you can move through some of these deals pretty quickly that way.
Yeah.
So that's definitely an advantage.
Yeah.
Do these houses sit on the market for years?
It obviously depends.
Yeah.
I would say the short answer is yes.
Yeah.
I would say, and I don't know if there's statistics on this for, homes under $1 million, homes over
Yeah.
$1 million, homes over 5, homes over. At the end of the day, you have a smaller pool of people.
Yeah.
I also believe that it's probably more important to have a really good agent, because my job is to catch that one person coming through town that is looking at a $15 million, and I hear about it, that they're down in PV, and I reach out to their agent. I said, well, I have a 54-car garage home up in Silverleaf. I know he's a car collector. Maybe you should come up and see my house.
So how do you find them?
How do I find what?
Like, how do you...
Know that a buyer's looking for
Yeah.
that.
Like, what is your outbound marketing like?
Well,
when you have a listing and you're going after that.
So
car collector.
One of the nice things about Silverleaf Realty is we have a full marketing department, and we don't pay for our own marketing.
Okay.
So we probably don't have as good a splits as some other brokerages, but we also don't have to worry about that. So we have a full marketing team. We go through a full marketing timeline, a full strategy. Every home is different. Strategies are different on different homes. Whether it's buying advertisements in magazines that are going to be in Seattle, in Colorado, in Southern California. Obviously, we get a lot of Californians, so we do that. We post. We have a real estate tab now on the Silverleaf Club website. We never had that before.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many people that are looking in Silverleaf are their members or friends of members, or have heard about Silverleaf, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's on one of our ambassadors' golf bags that just won a PGA Tour event, whether it's somebody on my Instagram that loves Nelly and is like, that's a place I need to be. I mean, I've had, anytime we have our men's invitational, we had professional bull riders and bulls come and perform and do a full bull riding show in the middle of our driving range. We had
Wild.
go-kart racing on our driving range.
Yeah.
Like, we do, and all the credit to our ownership and our team, we do stuff that no other club in the world does. And so the name, we have a brand now.
Yeah.
Silverleaf is a luxury brand. And so that helps with our marketing, where there's a lot of people that just know who our brand is, and, I want to know more. One of the biggest things when I give tours or I show homes, I never look at it like I'm selling something. I'm showcasing a lifestyle. And it's true. I know it sounds cheesy, but it really, once you get inside the gates, it's like, I have enough listings. If somebody doesn't like this one, well, check this one out. This is near the clubhouse. You guys can walk with the kids to the resort pool. The anniversary, we've got a jewelry store. We have these events. We hired the chef from the Wynn Casino. He oversees our food and beverage. Like, there's just all these different aspects of why wouldn't I want to be in Silverleaf?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we only have 850, 900 places that you can be. So that's why I believe last year inside Silverleaf, the average price per square foot was $200 more than anywhere else in Arizona. I think we were $960 a square foot. I think PV was maybe $770.
Yeah.
Somebody will probably try and correct me, but and maybe my memory's wrong, but it was something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where it's the property values hold in there because of everything that is inside those gates.
It's awesome. up
Yeah.
there.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Would you say there's a lot more, like, with your listings, like broker to broker type marketing? Because I feel like, with the normal consumer, they want to go on Zillow. They want to look on Realtor.com and the MLS and all the things. They're usually finding the properties that they like.
Correct.
With your clientele, I would assume they really lean on their broker to present them.
Yeah.
So one of the toughest things I actually face, and every client's different, is you're not posting my property enough on Instagram. Well, what people don't realize is, I'm on the driving range playing golf, and there's a bunch of, rich guys in from Kansas City, and I'm like, hey guys, are you looking for properties? There's a bunch around here. Like the texting, Josh Peters or Joan Levinson or Katrina, like, hey, you guys, anything going on in PV? Like, I've got a couple great ones up here. So the broker to broker is very important, I feel like, in the luxury space. Listen, I still have plenty of clients that they send me like, hey, I saw this on Zillow. Can we go look at it tomorrow?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many avenues now with the technology, and but the Instagram stuff, and Steve at Hub Media will probably kill me, but like, I always use him in videos, and he always wants me to be on camera and stuff, and I'm like, no, like, I'm like, these houses, they showcase themselves. You don't need me necessarily talking about it. Instagram, I don't know if I've ever had somebody buy a house because they saw a video on Instagram. Most of these people are looking on different websites, or I've created search for them. Listen, it makes my Instagram look cool, and and that's great. And maybe I have that, and that I don't know.
Yeah. Or it's ancillary, and it's just all part of the.
But when people are like, "Hey, you need to post my house more," it's kind of like, man, I was like, you don't realize all this other stuff that I'm doing that really is going to be how I bring the buyer,
moves the needle,
or how I connect with the right person that I know is looking in Silverleaf. I know they have 2 kids. Yes, all the bedrooms are upstairs, but that's what you guys need as a young family. And so but the broker is very important. And like, it's kind of what I said earlier, the relationship with other agents is so important.
Yeah.
It just really is.
Yeah. That's what kills me when, because I've had a client or 2 that have said, we need to work with someone else. We need someone more aggressive. I'm like, you want me like yelling at a colleague? Like this is going to be like one deal and you're done. I have to operate in this space, and these relationships are important. And when the market changes and there's 5-10 offers on the table, they're going to make a stronger pitch to work with me because 1, they know how I operate. 2, they know it's not going to be a miserable experience. Yeah. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that broker to broker is so much more important than people give it credit for.
And there's so much you can do with that. And so I think it's like, explaining to the clients of like, the big part of my marketing is going to be the things I can do with relationships that I have. Do you end up bringing the buyer to your own listings often? Like, are you double ending a lot of deals?
I haven't as much this year, but I have. I know there's a lot of agents that it almost seems like every deal they do is double-sided. Listen, at the end of the day, my job is to sell the listing, but my job is also to have what I think is the perfect home for the buyer. And I'm not going to try and squeeze, a circle into a square peg, or a square peg into a circle, whatever that term is. Listen, I love when that happens, obviously. I also, on most of my listings, if I do that, I actually take a hit in commission.
Yeah.
Or compensation, whatever I'm allowed to say now, which is fine, but also it also affects my bank account if I do that. I want what's best for the seller and the buyer. I love when the perfect marriage happens. Oftentimes in Silverleaf, it's not as much because we just don't have as many properties with golf memberships, but there was a time there where everybody like wanted a golf membership, and a lot of our members and clients, they know that I know a lot of people that are looking for golf memberships.
Yeah.
And so a lot of those were done off market. And it was a perfect fit.
Yeah.
We don't have as many properties with golf memberships, so that's been a little bit slower. And I have a bunch of listings. If they had golf memberships, they would sell immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of the downside of having an 8-year wait list and hard to get access, and not having very many people that want to leave or give up their memberships, because it directly affects our real estate. And I kind of I'm a big part in both of those.
Yeah.
And there's not really a strategy that can. We're just kind of dealt those cards.
There's no workaround.
Yeah, you just try and work around it, and you hope that some of the people that buy the really expensive homes either are already golf members or they're not golfers. Silverleaf, fortunately, we have social memberships available. A lot of clubs don't. So if people really want to experience most of the club, they can. And that really does help sell, whether it's my listing or a bunch of the other agents' listings in Silverleaf.
Yeah.
And so the wait list right now is primarily for the golf membership?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Got it.
And that's pretty much the way most of the clubs are. I think, I also, I know we're talking a lot about real estate, but I also have an email thread with all of kind of the North Scottsdale, membership directors. And we're always bouncing ideas off of people and, what are you guys doing any capital expenditures? Or, hey, this guy's trying to get free golf. He's not legit. Don't let him play. I mean, it's like anything. The golf world is a small world, and I know most people in that world. Real estate agent world, the luxury world, know most of those people. Same with the membership. I mean, our worlds are all very small, and so that's why it really is important to have good relationships with everyone, and we do, and for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Silverleaf sounds great, but I'm actually a member at Moon Valley Country Club.
I love Moon Valley. I love Moon Valley.
It's great.
The moonwalk.
Nice. Yeah.
The moonwalk. When I was a professional golfer, I used to love playing over there. And I think my sister was a member there for a while. They used to have a good skins game. They've got some really cool little mid-century modern homes over there.
Yeah. We love the neighborhood.
No, that's a great spot.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. We joke though. We're hoping things it's getting a little better, but it's some of the, there's a lot of things there where we're like, all right, you get what you pay for,
Well, I mean, that is the way it is, and unfortunately, in the world that we live in.
Yep, absolutely.
But that is a great little area.
Yeah, it's a great community. We really
I
enjoy
await
it.
the invite to go golfing with you.
Yes, well, you can anytime. We talked a little bit about this before we started the podcast, but how has the NAR settlement affected luxury,
I have to be careful,
if
here.
at all?
Do we have
Say
to
what
say
you
like
can.
bananas instead of compensation
No.
now?
I think we just
I don't know what they say. It's I don't even know if I say something negative about NAR if I get fined or whatever. I mean, I pay them.
Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think.
Listen, I think they've just kind of made it more difficult on everyone in the whole process, and really, not a lot has changed.
No,
I mean,
really
it really
hasn't.
hasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I know whenever I listed, homes, I factored in that compensation to both parties. The making them sign buyer brokers. Like I still don't do that unless I'm submitting offers. Hopefully, people don't go out and try and poach my clients. But like,
Yeah.
one of the things I love about real estate is it's free will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if somebody wants to use you and they don't want to use me and they were using me, like that's their choice.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't put my claws on my people. I hope my people are loyal because I'm loyal to them. The buyer broker stuff, the compensation, what I have seen, if let's just say if an average compensation was, 5.5 or 6, I'm probably seeing more of a 4.5 to 5.
Yeah.
Now listen, I will never complain about what I'm getting compensated.
Yeah.
Because I love what I do and I get compensated very well. But it is a little unfortunate. And honestly, what I oftentimes would do when I was getting full compensation, whatever, it was a negotiation tactic.
Mm-hmm.
It was my closing gifts were incredible. I would try and give credits. I would do things with that to make my people feel good that like, man, he respects us.
Yeah.
We see on the settlement statement what he's getting paid. They don't necessarily, they see that. They don't see what the brokerage takes.
Yeah.
They don't see what,
They don't
they don't see a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's affected me personally in the luxury market. I can't speak for, some of the lower priced homes. I don't know how that's affected it, but I have seen it impact the luxury market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those people seem to be a little more educated in it, but also those people also seem to be more educated in, I know what I'm getting with Brock.
Yeah.
I'm willing to pay him that because at the end of the day, if I can get them an extra $500,000 for their home on a $10 million home, if I can get them 10.5 instead of 10, and I'm getting paid $200,000, well, I just saved you half a
Yeah.
million. Like, why wouldn't you be willing to pay me an
Yeah.
extra $50,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it. And fortunately, a lot of my clients see it that way. But there's other ones that don't.
Yeah.
And there's other ones that try and do a workaround. And
Yeah.
I mean, everybody,
The agreements that's interesting to me, like the buyer broker, because you are so relationship based that it had to have been, because I didn't really use a buyer broker before this all changed, because I was the same way. I was like, listen, like I've talked with you enough. I feel good about our relationship. I'm doing this work for you. I trust that you're committed to me. Cool, right? And I didn't feel like I wanted to lock anyone in. And now, like, especially in just the mid-price range, like, you have to do that because people will tell on you if you're not. And people, unfortunately, aren't loyal, but it has caused a lot more friction in that first conversation of, like, nice to meet you. Now I need you to handcuff yourself to me
Correct.
or whatever.
Fortunately, a lot of the agents that I work with, they don't really ask.
Yeah.
And if they asked, then I would do it. It's just so much easier for me when I submit an offer and I have them sign everything that I have them sign the buyer broker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully my broker doesn't listen to this, but that's just the way I do it. And have I lost clients? I don't know. Maybe I have. I don't know if it wasn't meant to. That's the way I look. It wasn't meant to be. And guess what? If they go find an off market in PV and they call up the list agent and they find something that I couldn't find for them, like, that's fine. They did my job for me. My job is to find that.
Yeah.
And they found it. Now, there might be agents that disagree with me, but like, that's the way I kind of see it. Like, I should get paid based on what I did and hopefully provide value. And if I couldn't find that off market home in PV, but you did somehow by calling the right person or whatever, and saved yourself some money because you didn't have to worry about paying me or having the seller pay me. I mean, man, there's a lot bigger things to worry about than that.
Yeah.
So.
And if someone has a really big budget, there's only so many options that are out there. There's only so much you can do for them, and so much that they could do on their own too.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back into, like, how long are you listing? Like, it's really hard trying to get through to some of these people that, like, there's literally 10 people that can afford your house that come to, through, Arizona or Silverleaf, during the spring.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And oftentimes I won't take stuff off in the summer because I don't want to miss that one person that happens to be in town, that happens to look and happens to see your property.
Yeah.
I think in the days on market, for the most part, in luxury, I never really look at it. Like, maybe it factors in a little bit on what I offer. Yeah. And maybe it's a little leverage. Hey, it's sat for 2 years. Well, yeah, it's a $21 million, $24 million home. Yeah. Of course it's sat for 2 years. But guess what? A lot of times those people don't necessarily have to sell either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So I stress out more with the people that are like, Brock, we need to move this. And that could be, my $2.5 or $3.5 million listings, where my people at 15 or 12, they're like, Brock, we know you're working your butt off, and we know we have a very small pool. It's amazing how expectations are so different from one person to another.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Do you ever operate outside of Silverleaf? Outside of Silverleaf, I'm sure you do. But is there, you are now at a point in your career where you can turn down business. You can turn down the people that you think are going to be time sucks. And is there a price point that you just refer out, or a part of town you refer out to me, hopefully?
That's a great question. I'm obviously not afraid to refer people. Like, listen, if it's, I also can say I don't think I've turned down anyone. One of the great parts about being at Silverleaf Realty, Laura, I'm on the Laura Lester team. She's my mentor. She's like a second mother. Love her. We have a great group of agents. Yeah. I have 2 assistants. I have some rentals. I throw one of my assistants and say, listen, whatever we get paid on this, you're getting paid.
Yeah.
Go do some open houses for me. This kind of will lead into how to get into luxury real estate. Because one of my assistant's partners, she's, to her credit, she's like, can we get coffee? How do I break into luxury?
Yeah.
I said, attach yourself to a luxury agent.
Yeah.
It might not be great for a year or whatever, But guess what? Now all of a sudden she has two $10 million buyers, clients, because she sat a broker open with me, and she happened to break off and started talking to them, and they're like, we want to use you. I said, that's great. So like for me, because we have a team and everybody kind of varies on what kind of productivity and volume they do, it allows me to still be on these. I still oversee everything. I make it clear that like, hey, I'm bringing on my teammate.
Yep.
And we're both going to be doing this, but they still have the knowledge to know, like, I'm still very much a part of it.
Yeah.
But I also can only put time into so many things.
Yeah.
And the demands usually are just, they're usually a little different. Listen, I can say, you know, one of my listings, the demand's pretty high on one of my lower listings, and you just try and get through that.
Yeah.
And understand that there's a reason why somebody is stressing more than others.
Yeah.
And you try and be sensitive about that and do everything you can to try and make sure you can get them out of that situation or house, and then they can move on. So,
Sure.
But that's a great question. I don't like turning down people. There's definitely people that have asked where I'm just like, it's not maybe the best fit. It wouldn't be based on price. It would be based on personality.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of colorful personalities.
There is,
in that space.
There is,
Yeah.
and also, you know, I've lost plenty of listings because I want to be honest. I want to be able to sleep at night. I can't tell you how many listings I've lost because other agents have come in and said they can get $2 million more or something like that. And I'm like, well, good luck. I've also been the second agent many times on listings.
Yeah.
I love being the second agent. I really do.
Yeah.
Because I go in there and be like, listen, this is what, you know, this is why you've got to work with me. If I know you need to get a certain number, but in 30 days, if that hasn't moved, we need to do this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, every deal is different. Every person's different. That's kind of why I love what we do. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's about relationships. I feel like we're part psychiatrist. I mean, I have talked down clients. There was a deal, and she's gonna, if she listens, she's gonna know it's about her. But we had a deal almost fall apart at $3.5 million over a bed frame.
Oh my God.
A bed frame. And what we ended up doing, and the sellers were like, no, we're taking the mattress, which I always think is weird, taking old mattresses, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I guess you have sheets and stuff on it, but the bed frame, she absolutely had to have the bed frame. I was like, well, if you have to have the bed frame, we have to give them a credit.
Yeah.
So we gave them a $10,000 credit for, I don't know if it was
like gold plated.
No, it wasn't.
Carrera
It wasn't, but
marble.
whatever. I don't ask why, because there was a reason that she wanted to have it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so my job's to make sure the deal doesn't fall apart. And fortunately, Dan Wolski was on the other side, who I love, up at Desert Mountain. He's like, okay, they will take the 10 grand. I told Dan, I was like, you and I will go to Living Spaces. We'll buy a headboard.
Yeah.
We'll put it together. This deal's not falling apart.
Yeah.
I mean, I could write a book on some of this stuff, but that's
I'm sure
that's
of
just that's a small snippet of like dealing with strong personalities, type A. What I find in real estate is somebody wants to feel like they've won.
Yeah.
Our goal is to make both parties feel like they've won.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes. Very hard. Very hard.
I've heard a deal isn't, what's that saying? A deal isn't done until everybody feels like they've lost or something like that.
God, I hope that's
Like-
not true.
Like, oh, okay. It's a darker spin on it.
Yeah, that
but-
is.
Yeah.
All right. So have you watched $1 Million Listing, Selling Sunset,
I've seen. I've watched all of them. I think they're entertaining. I think.
Real Life? No. Yes.
Well, I mean, listen. I think obviously the $1 Million Listing stuff is, I think, way more accurate. Obviously, you see what Sirhant's doing and Josh Flagg and all those guys.
Yeah.
You know, Altman Brothers, who now have a presence here with Scott in Arizona.
Yeah, Sirhan's out here now.
Yeah. I think that's obviously a lot more realistic. Obviously, they all have fun personalities, and I think everything's embellished a little bit. Some of the Netflix stuff, I think, I don't know if they're actors. for me, it's just entertaining. It's in the background. I don't pay attention. I love seeing cool homes.
Yeah.
That's why I watch the show.
Yeah.
I'm sure most of the people are very sweet people. But if I went to listing agreements, I mean, obviously I wouldn't wear some of the stuff that the ladies wear.
Yeah.
But I don't, if they were listing my house, I don't know if I could take that serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's LA, and maybe it is. And I don't know what those ladies do in volume. Obviously the Oppenheim group is a very strong group, and those guys do a great business. But, is it real life? I mean, I'm actually kind of shocked that we don't have a Selling Scottsdale or something like that with some of the properties and values and the amount of wealth. Max posted something yesterday on Instagram that said besides there's one city in China that is ahead of Scottsdale in the amount of like wealth or new millionaires or something
Really?
About the amount of basically wealth and millionaires that are coming to our city.
Yeah.
It was I don't know how to pronounce it, but it was a city in China, and then it was Scottsdale.
Interesting.
Which is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I think I took a screenshot on my cell phone, but I was like,
That's wild.
I thought it was wild.
Yeah.
I'm sure at some point with the reality stuff there will be somebody following agents. I like just doing my business.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't have to do social media. Like
I know.
as a public of a person as I kind of have to be, and I'm also very private and prefer that. But I also know that in this business we kind of have to do that. So that would, I don't know. Like this is like playing golf. I was used to being in front of cameras, and I loved showcasing the talent that I had. But I also very much was like, I can't wait to get off the course and go to my hotel room and grab dinner and watch TV. Like I'm almost like a forced extrovert, even though I'm an introvert, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Totally.
But I kind of have to do it.
Yeah.
And I do like doing it.
Yeah.
But also I get home and I'm exhausted.
Got to recharge.
Yeah. Well, we have to be on.
You have to be on.
We have to be on a lot, right? Because, even at some of our events, it's like I can't let my hair down a little bit. These are I've got that listing,
Got Mark McGrath there.
Well, I mean, and Mark was great, and the guys at Lit were awesome, and Eve 6 guys. I mean, we really are fortunate. I'm very fortunate that I get to meet a bunch of these guys, and we've been very fortunate.
Yeah.
But you just have to be on.
Yeah.
And it's fine. We know what we have to do, and I know the role that I play, and hopefully, for the most part, I really do love being around people, but I would just assume when I'm done with that, be at home.
Well, and your Instagram, I would assume, would have to be a lot more curated than some of the, and we're going to talk about this on another episode, but some of the trending reels and, kind of marketing tactics some agents are using, we see right now.
Yeah. I mean, I love posting pretty photos and pretty videos. Yeah. Steve from Hub Media does a great job.
Yeah.
And then I try, for my social media, it's almost more, I'm trying to showcase who I am and why you should use me, more so than come buy a bunch of these homes.
Yeah.
This is why you should use me. I have photos with my son, with my dad, golf tournament. Then I'll have a couple of my recently closed listings or some coming soon. I want it. People have business and they have personal. I always wanted one to be a mixture of both because that's truly who I am.
Yeah.
I want them to choose me because they like me, they think I'm competent, and this is what I can do. And these are the homes that I've sold. And so that's the social media for me in kind of a nutshell. My girlfriend wants to take photos all the time, and I'm just like, no. I was like, let's just enjoy it.
Yeah.
She'll probably kill me for saying that.
Be present.
And when we're on vacations, that's when I like doing it.
Yeah.
But it's a small glimpse. Listen, as you guys know, social media is a very small glimpse into who a person really is.
Highlight reel.
Yeah. It is.
Pretty much.
But I'm also very fortunate. I get to do some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
My clients, one of my best friends we hopped on his plane and went to Fashion Week in Milan. I'm going to be in Europe this summer. Like, I get to do some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So it's fun looking through and being like, oh, I remember that was awesome.
Yeah.
Or that concert was awesome. And so, listen, I think there's a lot of benefits of social media. I don't know if I'm 43. I'm not in the younger generation of like, have to be on it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just shows there's a million ways to get business. And
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be social media.
There is, and I would rather do like through my network, my CRM.
Yep.
I do a personalized newsletter once a month, like where I want people to know what the market update is, what I'm doing. I want them to see a picture of Liam with the Easter bunny. Like it makes me human. We're not robots. We are people. It's like, I mean, I get yelled at all the time, and that's fine. I know that, but like, I'm trying. Like, I'm trying to sell your home.
Yeah.
I promise. I'm doing everything I can.
Yeah.
So, like, I want to sell it for you. It's just, everybody's different.
At any point, did you, maybe in the beginning, operating in this space, did you feel imposter syndrome or like, I can't, like, how did you, I mean, because going from like no business to, what was the first deal you closed? What was the
So the
price
first
point?
3 deals I closed were for my sister.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
In
Okay.
Chandler, I sold, let's
Go,
see.
girl.
Yeah. I sold, I think my first deal was $895,000. And then I bought her and her husband a home for 1.5. And then I also bought them a home for like 500.
Okay.
And so those were the first 3 deals. My first big deal was right after that. And it was a great family from California. They trusted me. They bought a house in Silverleaf for, I think, 5.5. And that was kind of the kickstart to really the luxury. And I fought with my marketing team for a while because I was like, before I really start a CRM, do a newsletter, do all this, you kind of brought up imposter syndrome or whatever. For me, I wasn't confident enough to just be like, look at me, I can do all this.
Yeah.
I needed to prove myself in the space before I really felt like I could reach out to this network of people.
Yeah.
And so very early on, it was, I think people just knew I was doing business because of like, if I sold something in the neighborhood, the neighborhood got, postcards.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, for the first 2 years, I don't think a bunch of my members even knew I was doing real estate.
Yeah.
And then I think my first year I did like 28 million. And then
Not too shabby.
my second year, I think I did like 70 and then 80. And then I think right now I'm like at 81 so far this year.
So this will be your
This will be
tracking
my
to
whole
your-
my goal this year was 100, and knock on wood, hopefully, I'll get there. I mean, it's all about goals and growth. I mean, this is how I was as a pro golfer, and I also think now that I'm more comfortable in just. I mean, I kind of like faked it a little, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And now I actually am like, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. I'm not leaning on everyone to get me through this stuff. Like I have 2 assistants. I have a mentor. I have an amazing designated broker. Jim Jones is based in Texas. My transaction coordinator, Megan, who I talk to all the time. I have a great team, but I also I trust my knowledge in what I'm doing enough now where I'm confident enough to reach out to my network of people and do that. And that was a big hurdle for me. Because I never want to be the person that feels like I'm soliciting clients. I mean, Nina will hate me for this, but in the marketing, first paragraphs, it always says, if you're curious about what your house is worth, call me, or, or the closing, letters, like, thanks for trusting me. Do you have any friends that you can pass me? Like, I don't ever want to be that person.
Yeah.
You
have
Like,
to.
I just,
Kinda have to.
I just want to soften that and be like, listen, like, I loved working for you, and that's it.
Well, it kind of goes without saying if you did a good job for someone.
Well,
you
I
know,
would
and
hope,
that's
like,
what-
I would hope so.
that's
And
what
like,
I
if they're
think.
getting my newsletter, I
Yeah.
hope that they just kind of know, like,
Right.
it's the touch points,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
like keeping people, and that's where, like, on Instagram stories, if I do a closing, I'll post one on the Instagram story. If I do a big one, I'll post on my hard post. If I have a new coming soon, I'll do it. Just so people are like, oh, well, he's still being productive.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to flood people with every single thing where people
Yeah.
stop looking at my stories because they're like, oh, like it's just
Yeah.
regurgitate.
It's
It's just, oh,
yeah.
I've already seen that video.
Yeah.
So it's that balance of keeping it interesting, making sure your sellers know that you're still marketing stuff, and that's why I do stuff in my newsletter. I mean, my network of my CRM is way more powerful than my 1,500 or whatever it is on, I don't even know, on Instagram.
Yeah.
I get more leads off of the CEOs that I'm friends with on LinkedIn than I do Instagram.
Yeah. That makes
Or
sense.
like the directors of golf at other clubs that I'm members at or that I played college golf against.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, Brock's in Scottsdale. Oh my gosh, I got 2 members that are looking at homes in Desert Mountain. They need to use Brock.
Yeah.
You know, so that to me is more powerful when you actually cut through some of the stuff for me and what I do than, you know, fluffy, you know, Instagram posts with cool music.
Well, and I'd have to think that, you know, you mentioned before, a lot of your clientele are business owners, probably, you know, well, maybe not even small business owners at that point. But I think they understand how the referral game works and the networking. You know what I mean? Whereas, you know, in the space I operate in, most of my people are W-2 people. They don't understand, you know, how important that is for me to get referred, you know,
Sure.
or the best way to even do it. Or I think maybe if you are, you know, in that space, like for me, I understand referring people, so I do it aggressively on behalf of my friends and people I have a lot of faith in.
Yeah.
You know, whereas I think maybe that's just not second nature to some people to throw your name out there. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what I said earlier. It's like you want to set yourself apart where people would be like foolish not to use you.
Yeah.
What is your value? Well, if a bunch of my referral network are friends and members and clients, I've been at Silverleaf for 12 years in some capacity, and if their friends are coming to Silverleaf, like, you know, why wouldn't they use me?
Yeah.
Or like, you know, to me, like you have to create it where like it's a no-brainer. They need to use Brock. He knows every member. He knows everyone that's coming here, leaving, every lot. Like they need to use, you know.
Yeah.
And so I think you try and make it easy for somebody to refer you, and hopefully you do a really good job, and that also plays into it, right? And you're a good person and you're ethical and you do all those things where it is easy for somebody to be like, yeah, use him. Like he's awesome, you know? And so that's what you hope to provide.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So in closing, we talked about for anyone who wants to get into luxury, you mentioned mentorship. What else? Is there any other recommendations you'd give for someone who wants to kind of take that step?
Well, I mean, to be in luxury, I mean, it's pretty simple. You need to be around people that can afford luxury real estate.
Yeah.
So whether that's joining a country club, Moon Valley, or, you know, joining Global Ambassador and rubbing shoulders with those people. I mean, at some point, like you have to be in their network for them to want to use you.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Now, like I suggested, for, you know, if people want to break into luxury, you need to attach yourself and you need to understand that it might not happen right away, but you're seeing all these luxury homes. You can post videos of that. It's almost kind of like what I said, fake it to make it. Well, then all of a sudden, you know, you're showing open houses at these expensive homes. Then all of a sudden people that do follow you, they're like, oh, well, you do luxury.
Yeah.
And then they just assume that that's who I need to use for luxury. I think teaming up with somebody, even if it's, I'm going to be their assistant, I'm going to do my stuff on the side, but I'm going to be their assistant and I'm going to learn, I'm going to be in those meetings, to be in those listing appointments, to be at those broker opens, to be at those open houses. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. I'm very, very fortunate because I've had a built-in network since I was 8 years old, playing golf with multi-million-dollar, you know, wealth orchardists in Yakima.
Yeah.
And then Yakima, Washington. And then that went to playing in pro-ams with all these CEOs of top, you know, organizations. And it just, that whole network was built up over the last 35 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happened very quickly for me, but it also hasn't. These are people, I mean, these are people, a lot of these people I've known for a long time.
Yeah.
And now they know that I'm in real estate, and they have this relationship with me.
Yeah.
And hopefully they trust me and they think that I do a good job for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That all makes perfect sense.
Dang. Well, I'm excited to watch you hit that 100 million.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I hope so.
It will.
I
You
hope so.
will.
I
It
hope
will.
so.
Yeah.
Claim it.
Claim it.
Yeah.
Manifest it. Positive thinking.
Yeah.
Not even halfway through the year yet.
I
You're
know.
all
No,
past
I know.
halfway
Well,
in the
yeah,
year.
and I know, and it's been a very interesting market because of the tariff stuff, because the
Yeah.
stock market lost a lot of wealth. I mean, I'm very fortunate, but like a lot of my clients, they either make $5 million a month or lose $5 million a month based on what the stock market's
Yeah.
doing. Well,
Right.
that's a purchase, right?
Yeah.
And I think, like I told you, ladies, that I really am so bullish on Arizona. And I think once we get some of this stuff settled,
Yeah.
I think that the next while will be very strong in
Yep.
Arizona.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
optimism.
Well, thanks so much for coming.
Oh, well.
This was awesome.
Thank you
Excellent,
thank
yeah.
you for thinking about me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know
Oh,
it was a
hell yeah.
year ago since I saw you.
I
but
know.
we follow each other on
I know.
Instagram and comment every now and then.
Yeah.
So,
Social media.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. It's awesome that you guys do this, and thanks
Yeah.
for spending an hour with me and letting
Yeah.
me,
No, this
let me
was
talk.
really fun.
Yeah.
This was really fun.
This was awesome.
Well, good.
Thanks.
All right. Well, we are wrapping up. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you at the next one.